We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any changes or revisions to the regular or consent agendas?
I move to approve the regular consent agendas.
We made the motion to approve the regular and consent agendas. Holly seconded that. All those in favor? Thank you. Recognition?
Do you have anyone recognized tonight?
New hires?
This is Evelyn Tharp, and she has been doing her student teaching in our school in first grade. This is Gertrude. And Indiana State was so gracious to let her off a little early so that she could come and be our fourth grade teacher for Mrs. Robinson for the rest of the year. So she will officially graduate from Indiana State in December. And so, but she starts after fall break. So welcome to Evie.
In your board packet, you received the latest financials, which included everything through the end of the month of September. And there you have your claim dockets, the payrolls, our cash flows, our transfers, and the fund reports. And as usual, which is a good thing, we continue to track positively toward our forecasted income, expense, and fund balances. In addition, as you know, in our agenda, Dr. Penrod will be walking us through the 2025 budget approval later in the meeting.
Legislative update. Project update. Mr. Grambo.
Doesn't look as if Rambo's here, but he did provide me with a presentation.
Okay,
so
all right, we'll hear from you then.
I am up to date on these things as well, so we'll just walk through it real quick. Of the football field, outdoor lighting, track project, all of that is almost done. There's just a few little things that we're waiting to finalize on that. To the casual observer, you would know no different, but there are some things that are outstanding that we are waiting on delivery for. There's one of those things is the electrical upgrades as well. They're still working on getting those finalized and permanent. Things are operational. We're just waiting for the finalization on the electric work. As you know, we did the lighting in the PA system. There's one component in the PA system that we're waiting for that will sync the speakers on the annex building, the concession stand, with the speakers that are out right now. We have those turned off because they don't sync, and it would be very troubling to hear the repeated sounds going back and forth. So the lighting's amazing. So we're obviously put that to full use here during the football season. We'll be putting all of the outdoor lighting in the softball, baseball, and for track in the spring. So very excited to see that come into play. Talked about all that already. We also are obviously completed the roof projects as well. Hey, Mr. Grambo.
Hello.
I'm doing your part right now. So I've already covered everything up to this point, so just we're at the roof.
Oh, great. Thank you. What an entrance. So, the roof's still some things ongoing. We should get some information from Technical Assurance and Fanning Howie. Might have came in today. I haven't seen it yet. It would be at Fanning Howie for dispersal. But we have a couple redesigns on some flashing, and with any luck, that'll get done over the fall break, and we should be on to the manufacturer's, basically their punch list to reassure the warranties. So, so out on the field house. It was a little slow this in the interim between the last meeting and this, but got a lot of things done as far as RFIs go, and got a let's see here, major structural the demo to put the construction entrance in went very well. That was actually on the day of the last meeting, so I did a ton of demo in there. The shoring development plan is ongoing. We got the drawings back from the structural engineer. It's in depth. There's a 15-foot block face that needs to be supported before we put in the permanent lentils. So it's going to be exciting in the next month. That ongoing. Permitting's going well. Got everything back from the county, so we're just excited about that. And we have upcoming. We're going to be relocating the gas main. That's a little bit of a headache with that this past week, but the school did a fantastic job mitigating that, and we'll move on from there. With, the storm sewer work with the mystery basin and whatnot, that's all handled in the RFI, so we're gonna start working on that. Pool upgrades. Right now, it's still with tons and tons of submittals. They're coming in daily, and we'll be ready for when that comes up on the schedule. So it's not much is going on in that area. We get the temp wall there, and like you say, the submittals keep coming in. Take deliveries when they come, and then it's all basically it's just schedule now. So. There we go. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, public comment. Item 7, new business. A consideration of adoption of the 2025 budget, tax rates, and levies.
So annually, we come to this time to approve our budget for the next year, and tonight, let me get. So tonight, we're going to approve 3 required documents, but also 3 complementary documents that assist in the ongoing accounting and financial stewardship. Has to do with the budgeting process. We believe our current financials are strong, and this budget will continue to meet our needs while maintaining fiscal conservancy that allows for the projects, the infrastructure, and the educational needs throughout the district. As you know, all the details of the budget and the associated requirements have been previously discussed in other required meetings and hearings over the past few months. So, Dr. Penrod.
Good evening, thank you. Tonight we're going to start with the first required item. That item is the ordinance or resolution for appropriations of tax rates, which is what it says at the top. It's also known as Form 4. That details the budget categories, meaning the budgeted funds, the education operations, debt service, and rainy day. The tax rates, the levies, and the budgets for those funds. We'll get that to the DLGF once it's approved, and upload that in the next couple of days here, and then they will do what they need to do with that form and that budget, and then send it back to us and give us some time with a 1782 response period. And so at this point, we are seeking approval of that 2025 Form 4. But if you have any questions, I would be glad to ask, or glad to answer.
Take a motion then.
Move to approve the 2025 ordinance or resolution for appropriation tax rates.
We've made the motion to approve the 2025 ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates. Joe seconded that. All those in favor? Item B, consideration of adoption of bus replacement resolution.
Thank you. Our second item required is the resolution to adopt a bus replacement plan. Indiana Code 20-40-18-9 requires the adoption of the school bus replacement plan. As you recall, it's a 5-year plan, so 2025 through 2029. And again, be glad to answer any questions, but we're looking for approval of that resolution.
I move to approve the resolution to adopt the 2025 bus replacement plan.
We made the motion to approve the resolution to adopt the 2025 bus replacement plan. Holly seconded that. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item C, consideration of adoption of capital projects resolution.
Our third one is the capital projects plan and then the resolution associated with it. And so we are required to adopt a capital projects plan. It's a 3-year plan, so 25, 26, and 27. That was shown in a little bit in August, and then definitely at the hearing in September. And we kind of went over what those projects and acquisitions would look like. And so, be glad to answer any questions. And if there are none, I would recommend 2025 through 27 capital projects plan.
I move to approve the resolution to adopt the 25-27 capital projects fund plan. I made the motion to approve the resolution to adopt the 2025 capital project fund plan. We seconded that. All those in favor? Item D, consideration of adoption to approve reduction in appropriations. Dr. Penrod.
Thank you. This resolution to reduce appropriations is necessary to maintain the 2025 total tax rate at a level necessary for operations during 2025. As we get to the end of the 2024 budget cycle, there might be existing, and likely are, existing 2024 appropriations that have balances that will not be obligated for the purposes for which they were appropriated. This resolution provides the authority to reduce 2025 adopted appropriations and reduce and/or transfer 2024 appropriations during the 1782 response period in 2024 with the BLGF, or Local Government Finance, in the amounts necessary to maintain the maximum levy allowed in each fund for the 2025 budget. And so that's a lot of maybe technical stuff. Basically, we're asking to, when we put the budget together, we're estimating expenses for 2024. Once the 1782 period gets here, it's mid-December usually, and so then we can estimate a little bit more accurately because we're only trying to estimate a couple weeks instead of 6 months. And so this will allow us to reduce expenditures in 2024 and roll that funding, not the appropriation, but the funding that backs the appropriation into 25 to maintain 25 budget, and also to keep our tax rate where the board set that target rate.
I move to approve the resolution to reduce appropriations.
Wade made the motion to approve the resolution to reduce appropriations. Holly seconded that. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item E, consideration of adoption of resolution to transfer funds from education fund to operations fund.
This resolution is the annual request to authorize the transfer of amounts from the education fund to the operations fund. Specifically, this resolution allows the transfer of an amount up to 15% of the education fund to the operations fund throughout 2025 calendar year to reimburse the operations fund for expenses that are not allocated to student instruction and learning under Indiana Code 20-42.5. This transfer shall be executed on a regular basis, which will likely be monthly as we established in previous budget cycles. Currently, that is $80,000 per month, and we do that monthly. And at this point, we're seeking approval of this resolution.
To approve the resolution to transfer amounts from the education fund to operations fund. Holly made the motion to approve the resolution to transfer amounts from the education fund to the operation fund. Joe seconded that. All those in favor? Item F, consideration of adoption of resolution to transfer appropriations within a fund. Dr. Penrod.
This resolution to transfer 2024 budget appropriations provides the flexibility at the end of the budget cycle to use inter-fund transfer before December 31 to better track available appropriations. So this resolution provides the permission to make the transfers necessary to facilitate fiscal management, and those inter-fund transfers will be reported back to the board no later than the February of 2025 vote.
Questions about that one?
I move to approve the resolution to transfer of the 2024 budget appropriation.
Holly made the motion to approve the resolution transfer of 2024 budget appropriation. Item G. First hearing on preliminary determination. The next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a preliminary hearing on the proposed construction project. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet, which should include your name and address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the proposed project under consideration. The notice of this preliminary determination hearing was published as legally required. At this time, I will ask that bond counsel explain the purpose of this hearing.
Good evening. Thanks for having us tonight. Under Indiana law, anytime a school corporation proposes to issue bonds to finance a project over a certain amount, the school must hold 2 hearings. Tonight is the first hearing. At these hearings, we set maximum. So this would be worst case scenario is what we have to set tonight and what Luke will be presenting. Again, it's just the very beginning of the legal process.
We will now hear from Dr. Smith about the process of determining and communicating the project to the community and the need for the project.
So South Putnam, just like all other school districts, we have ongoing infrastructure needs, and to increase the usefulness of our campus assets and to replace items and equipment that are at the end of their useful life. Therefore, this general obligation bond that we'll use will help facilitate the analysis needed to drive the needs throughout the district and to meet those needs in replacement of those end-of-use items and updates. An example of this, we'll be targeting various deferred maintenance items throughout the district, such as fencing, playground updates, classrooms, and other day-to-day operational educational needs, the technology and operational type expenses. Additionally, district-wide safety and security measures beyond the grant funds that we receive for that will continue to be a priority, so we have some targeted for that as well. Additionally, areas like HVAC, specifically boilers, chillers, and univents throughout the district, which we've done in the past with other GO bonds, and we continue to work on those and getting those updated. Also, we have very few remaining roofs as well that are not under warranty, and so that could be used for those smaller roofs that are left on the middle school. Again, there's, I think, 5 small sections over the middle school that we could utilize as well if it needed. As of right now, they're in great shape. Finally, we'll utilize funds to replace, like I said, end of useful life vehicles and equipment throughout the district.
We will now hear from Stifel Nicholas Company Incorporated about how the proposed project will be financed, as well as information about the effect on the typical property taxpayer.
That's all right. Everyone says it wrong.
Which one is it?
It's people, but no, it doesn't read like it should. Good evening, Luke Brugman with Steeple. We serve as municipal advisor to the school corporation. As Kristen mentioned, this is purely informational. No resolutions are being passed tonight. We will have some parameters on the last slide that are truly maximums. We can always come down from those numbers, but once they're set, we cannot go above them. So you'll see that in there. Again, no resolutions being passed tonight, but at the October 23rd, these numbers will be in the resolution at that point. So on the first slide, the first thing we always start with is the school corporation's current debt obligations. I'll give you just a second here.
Upgraded to a new operating system, and now it's all.
There we go.
I think we're good, and you have a clicker up there.
Perfect. So on the first slide,
Working.
no.
I got you. I got
There
you.
you go.
Sorry.
So if you get the next slide there, the first thing we always start with is the school corporation's outstanding debt obligations. Right now, there's 3 bond issues outstanding: the 21 bonds, 22 GO bonds, and the 23 bonds. So the 22 bonds, you can see there in light blue, they pay off at the end of this year. The 23 bonds was the first tranche of the project that Dr. Smith just walked through. So we sold about 12.7 of that last year. We're going to sell the remaining 7 million of that this year, and we'll show how that layers in here in just a second. Knowing that the school corporation doesn't just focus on the school corporation's debt obligations, but really targets a total tax rate factoring in any pension debt and the operations fund. If you flip to the next slide there, in gray is the school corporation's operations fund, in light blue is the school corporation's pension fund, which again, that pays off at the end of this year, and then in navy blue there is the debt service fund, and that correlates to the existing debt obligations that was on the previous page. So in 24 and prior years, the school corporations maintained a total tax rate of not to exceed $1.32, and that's what it is in 2024. You'll see that there is a drop off beginning in 2025, and we're going to show how we're going to layer in the remaining bond issues and this potential project as well to maintain that rate. So if you flip to the next slide there, this is the remaining portion of the project that was passed last year, which I did get a little bit of a tour here before this, and it's absolutely amazing to see some of the projects that you all have done. So this would be the remaining 7 million. That's in green there on how that's going to be layered in. And then on the next slide, that's really what the purpose of this hearing is, and that's in orange, is the 2024 general obligation bonds of $3 million. You'll see that we're structuring this in a manner to repay this quickly within 5 years, but also to maintain a total tax rate of $1.32, also leaving a cliff beginning the next year, whether that's to do additional projects, whether if that's legislative impacts that offset that, really just to provide as much flexibility for the school corporation going forward. We're assuming pretty conservative numbers right now with everything that we've run. Assuming a 5% interest rate, right now you're probably closer to 4%, maybe even a little bit less than that. Assuming AV growth of 0% too, we've seen some big jumps the last couple years. Going forward, again, the legislative impact may have more of an impact than what the market is, but we're assuming no growth going forward. So again, hopefully this is conservative. And then on the last slide here, this is really the maximum legal parameters that will be in the resolution on October 23rd. So there's a lot of numbers there, and I'll highlight most of at least the main ones here. The max borrowing amount is $3 million. Estimated cost of issuance under discount of $200,000. Again, hopefully that's a high-end number. And then the remaining goes to hard and soft project costs for the school corporation, leaving $2.8 million. We're setting a maximum interest rate of 6%, given that this is the first step in the legal process. Once we get through this, it will likely sell in the first week of December, so there is some potential market movement between now and December. So we're setting a little bit higher, but again, if we sold today, we're probably closer to that 4%. You'll see the estimated interest cost there, the max annual payment of $1.5 million. If you simply divide that by the school corporation's net assessed value, that's where you get the 0.3159. But the most important number on there probably is that last row there, the net tax rate impact over the 24 total school tax rate, and that's no impact to the school corporation's tax rate due to this project. We have a couple other ratios there at the bottom that we're statutorily required to show. It's simply, the first one is the school corporation's max payment as a percentage of your net assessed value, and the second one's the direct and overlapping debt as percentage of your net assessed value. That's just factoring in county, schools, towns, library, all the other property tax back debt divided by your AV. So that's all I have for you. I know it's a lot of numbers, and I went through that probably pretty quickly, but happy to answer any questions.
It's good to see that the payoff is pretty short.
Yeah.
And also great to see that there's no adverse effect on the current tax rate.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, please sign in on one of the sheets, which was located on the sign-in table with Mrs. Roach. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you state your name and address. Is there anyone? Do I need to continue reading this?
No, if there's no one.
Okay. Thank you to all who participated in the hearing. We appreciate your time and interest in the project and the future of our community. Please note that this is just the first step in the legal process. No board action is legally required at this hearing. Rather, this hearing is solely to hear public comment. The board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. The board will hold a second public hearing in this boardroom on October 23rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Item H, consideration of resolution authorizing issuance of individual procurement cards or BMO.
Our most recent IASBO, which was last May, School Business Conference, we were introduced to the BMO procurement card, which provides incentives and cash back to school corporations for the utilization of the card. The rewards cash back can be used to purchase additional district resources. So it's just money on top of money we're already spending anyway. So just by redirecting through this channel, and so tonight I'm just asking for approval that we can get that procurement card and utilize that in our purchases when we use credit cards.
Just going to streamline the PA processes or approvals, anything like that.
Just
that changes.
All it does is adds the rewards and cash back for us of money that we're already spending.
So when the does that money have to be spent for anything specific, or is there a state?
School needs.
School money.
The reward money.
So, for school needs, a lot of time. We had one district that we learned about bought Chromebooks with it. So they were able to.
So it can be used for anything.
Anything school educational related. Okay. Yeah, for the district. Some schools use it for professional development. There's just a lot of different things you can use it for.
To approve the issuance of the BMO individual procurement card.
I'll second.
Holly made the motion to approve the issuance of the BMO individual procurement cards. Wade seconded that. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item I, second reading of Corporation Neola policy update.
As simply as that stated there, this is the second reading of the installment of the Neola Corporation policy updates. I believe there are 35 in your packets this time when you require a second reading prior to approval.
Order J, consideration of approval of Corporation Neola policy updates.
So we're seeking approval of those 35 policies that we just have read twice.
To approve the Neola Corporation policy update.
I'll second.
Joe made the motion to approve the Neola Corporation policy updates. Lee seconded that. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item K, consideration of approval of Fillmore Elementary Library book surplus.
Mr. Slaughter continues to work diligently through all of our libraries. and updating things as she goes, and getting rid of things as she sees fit as well. So Fillmore Elementary, she's gone back through another round and has several additional items to be surplused due to their end of life or their obsolescence. Just seeking approval of those surplus items as detailed.
I move to approve the Fillmore Elementary Library surplus.
Lee made the motion to approve the Fillmore Elementary Library surplus. Joe seconded that. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item L, consideration of proposal for design services for the new administration building project.
As we start the process of planning for a potential new administration building, we reflected on the current project partners and have been incredibly fortunate to have MKS and Fanning Howie working together extremely well in their execution of the track and field and the pool upgrades, the field house, Central Elementary parking lot project. Therefore, we're seeking approval of Fanning Howie as the architectural firm to lead us through the concept and design, to also complete the design of the administration building. As you already know, Fanning Howie has extensive pedigree of projects in the public school arena, and including other administration buildings, and they'll provide exceptional expertise and guidance as we maneuver through this next phase.
What would be a time frame on having any idea if this potential would change that word from potential to being able to move forward and know?
Yeah, so once they get the design and we see how we'll scope and we'll work with MKS on the timeline, just like we did on all the rest as far as what that timeline looks like. We'll build that out as we go. It shouldn't take too long in the design phase because it's not super large, so it's just a new building. And they'll take their expertise that they've done in other admin buildings, shrink it down to fit South Putnam. So once we have that design, I would think we would have that in a couple months. Dr. Penrod, are you still there? He was part of this conversation as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it'll be a couple months for design, based on what we kind of talked about. I don't think that would be too aggressive.
And then the next stage of that, once we decide and you guys approve the design phase, just like we did to approve the field house, then it'll go to bid. So then from there we'll be working with whatever general contractor gets the bid, and
We'll know our financial state a little better close of the.
Exactly, because again, we wanted to get through the timing of this is very crucial because we wanted to get through the initial phases of the field house, which is the most expensive phase, is the foundational phase, and so once we get through that, we'll have a better idea, making sure that everything is in line with our current financing.
Go ahead. I move to approve the Fanning Howie proposal for design services for the new admin building.
Seconded.
Holly made the motion to approve Fanning Howie proposal for design services for the new administration building. Wade seconded that. All those in favor? Other business. 9, superintendent's report.
Pretty short tonight. I just returned from the Nobel Prize Education Summit in Stockholm, Sweden, on Saturday, so I'm still got a little jet lag, still coming off of that. And there I represented small and rural schools from the United States among 35 other nations that were there. It was a really incredible event. It truly was an amazing professional experience, learning from Nobel Prize winners and educational researchers there in Stockholm. I'm just thanking you, board, for allowing me to participate in that, and I'll be preparing a much larger overview of the experience for an upcoming board meeting. I have a presentation and pictures and that type of thing to share. Sweden, or Stockholm especially, is just a very intriguing town, very, very beautiful. It was a lot colder there than it was here, so. And it's a very walkable town, just a great overall experience, but the professional development was just nonstop, like drinking through a fire hose for 5 straight days. So it was an incredible event. And a lot of global networking too, with from people from, like I said, 35 other countries. So there's that. In other news, we survived a water main valve issue last Friday at the middle school, high school, and Central Elementary. Got that fixed. Thanks to the team for putting that all together while in my absence. And big kudos to Jared Hutchison for driving to Louisville to pick up the part needed to get that done in a time, and we could still have our football game that night. So a lot of team play that going in on that. From communication with parents, communication with community, and then working on backup plans in case that we couldn't get that piece and part. It is a very specialized part. We were lucky that it was in Louisville and not somewhere a lot further than that. So, kudos to staff and students. And then in other news, Monday in the construction zone, Mr. Grambo alluded to it a little bit, but we did happen to strike a gas line, and so. It was handled very, very expeditiously by the gas company, but I want to shout out to staff and students. They handled it, just rolled right through it, no problem at all. Handled very professionally by all, so very impressed by that. And thanks for the understanding for the community and for parents as we work through that. So, but very, very proud of our staff and students and how they handled that situation. And the team, again, big team play between all of us here on campus and elementary, taking in all those students while we were getting away from the gas. So, last but not least, fall break is next week, and I wish all the staff and students a very relaxing, refreshing break as we head into this fall season. Hope some of you can get away as well.
Our next meeting will be Wednesday, November 20th at 6 o'clock right here. And so if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn.